Today, we're going to discuss the future of cybersecurity and how Cybereason, as a vendor, sees it and what can be done to make our life as defenders easier. This can be done by understanding the adversary. So I'm going to show you what an adversary can do with today's techniques available in open source, nothing to buy, nothing to pay, all support documentation available online. All of these techniques can be executed by any one of you who wants to invest a bit of time in it. Before that, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Pavel Mucha. I work for Cybereason, cybersecurity specialist, and I work as a pre-sales specialist. I used to work for McAfee for 5 years before that, knowing and playing with all of their portfolio, until I understood that there must be a better way. They have very good solutions, don't get me wrong, but it just takes time, people, and money to get it all running. So there has to be something that can deliver value much faster and much easier in today's fast-changing world. So today's agenda will talk about why AI and security. I'll show you the attack simulation. We'll discuss different techniques, tools, and procedures the bad guys can use against you today. It's going to be very simple, but to give you an idea how it is done on the other end of the wire. And then maybe, if I have some time, I'll talk about the Cybereason itself. Let's start this session with a moment of truth. No matter how deep pockets our are, no matter how much people we've got, attackers are winning. Also, everything is being digitalized more and more these days. So, if the future is self-driving cars smashing to each other, smart cities going down at once, and identity theft when we will spend 50% of our time in virtual reality, spooky times ahead. But let's not be afraid of it, because we will win. We will find a way to do it. First, what do we need in order to win? We need to first understand that the attack itself is a complex operation. It is very hard to operate an attack. Attacker is sitting there with a blank screen and he doesn't know anything about you until the time he starts executing his malicious activities. As it is complex, it takes weeks and months to execute. Okay, so the attack is complex. Number two, our founders, Cybereason founders, they came from Israeli Defense Force, technical team, managing cyber operations against other states. And they were very successful. Our founder achieved a gold medal of honor for one of the operations they succeeded in 2009 and 2010. Maybe an operation you're all aware of. The first time there was a physical damage by the cyber attack. And this is when we first started calling IT security with the word cyber. So what our experience tells us is that they were able to infect or penetrate into each and every environment 100% of the time. What that means is that penetration is inevitable. Relying on signature-based techniques is easy to bypass and doesn't bring you the security posture we all look for. So, cyber operation is hard, penetration is inevitable. Number three, in the last 20 years, all of us were building walls, like Chinese wall. We're trying to defend against adversaries with the best possible approach that we knew. And that was building the biggest wall possible, the thickest wall possible. And we were investing most of our money and effort into building that prevention. Because we thought that if I can stop the infection, then the bad guys cannot actually proceed with their operation and cannot do anything. But we know penetration is inevitable. What does it mean? It means that we'll lose sight of the attacker if they're able to bypass your prevention. This is why I left the 20% of the budgets that companies spend, apart from prevention, on incident response, on post-mortem scenarios, on solutions like CM and DLP, to know after the fact, to investigate the scope of an attack, tools and techniques, and the rest. We know attack is complex. We know penetration is inevitable. We were to choose between two options. We either stay where we are and we agree that preventing infection is the most important task and we should stay there. Or we choose a second option. We accept that penetration is inevitable and we focus our defense resources in a post-breach mindset, in a post-breach environment, assuming that your prevention is bypassed. So, as a defender in the organization, would I do my job if I stopped an infection, but allowed bad operation to proceed and to succeed eventually? Or will I do my job if I protect the organization, no matter if I didn't stop the initial infection, but was able to see everything the bad guys can do against my environment, to see all possible ways in and out of my organization, so I can learn from it and fill the gaps? They understood, our founders, with inevitable penetration, when they were able to infiltrate each and every organization, they were not able to complete an attack in 100% of the time, because sometimes their attack failed. And the attack failed because of the ultimate defender. The ultimate defender is a guy with most likely low social skills, which we've discussed with a few of you guys already, that understands the attack operation, that sits there with a laptop and doesn't go for a bio break, doesn't take a lunch break, doesn't go for holidays. Even if there is a slightest lead to do some hunting procedures, he will not give up. He will not go to bed and sleep. He will continuously fight against adversaries. So the answer to protecting our organization is to hunt for those possible bad guys, bypassing your prevention. In wild world, this is how hunting looks. Well, in our world, this is how hunting looks. In order to hunt, in order to have an understanding of everything that is going on in my environment, I need to hire smart people. People who understand adversaries better than I do. How easy it is to hire cybersecurity specialists these days. How can you test their capability? How good are they? The answer to the problem is to automate things. We have to finally start using the technology and not being slaves to it. Let's use automation. So artificial intelligence has to be the future of cybersecurity. Otherwise, we will not be able, we won't have the capacity to fight back. So, remember two options we have. We focus where we are, we decide that prevention is the most important thing, and we have to stop the infection at its first entrance. Or, we can shift this paradigm, because in that case, the bad guy needs just one opportunity to bypass your prevention. And once he's in, you lost sight of him. You don't know what's going on. If his operation includes fileless malware, leaving off the land techniques, your signature-based detection technologies will not detect a thing, or will create a lot of false positives, which require a lot of people to crunch through, to investigate and hunt. And we don't have enough people. How do we shift this paradigm? How do we switch the symmetry between the bad guys and the good guys? And what we feel as a cybersecurity vendor is that we need to shift the paradigm of what we need to do. Instead of prevent everything, we need to detect anything that is happening. So if they're using PowerShell.exe, Word.exe, or any other legitimate application in your environment, we need to be able to see and understand the context behind each and every activity of each and every process. Imagine the amount of data that we need to collect in order to gain that visibility and understanding. The problem is the data. Today's cybersecurity problem is the amount of data. Each and every device is shouting at you. We have problem here, we have problem here. Have you got translators telling that to you in a human way, at least in writing? No. You have to implement systems like CM, SOAR, centralize everything, work on playbooks and the rest. That takes a lot of time and effort. We don't have that. We need to start winning now, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is too late. How do we address this problem? How do we get from just a single data point on some of your devices to understand the information? Is it good or bad? What if it's unknown? How we can connect the dots between web proxy logs, firewall logs, and endpoints to understand the story, to understand the full chain of operation, where it started his path, where he landed, and where he has gone. Only few solutions on the market today can actually give you the insight. Really well configured SOAR can allow you to prioritize all the pre-correlated data, but you, as a defender, need to create this correlation rule. It's you who need to watch it. It's you who need to amend it based on the ever-changing landscape of devices and technologies. I don't know many organizations capable to provide with wisdom. How do we get from one single alert on one machine? Let's take an example of privilege escalation. And know the full context of operation. Where it started, phishing most likely, code injection, privesc, lateral movement, command and control. Moving across your environment, especially when the attack started, for example, 200 days ago. The attack is hard. It is very hard. The attacker doesn't know what they need to do next. So they will wait. They will do reconnaissance. They will wait again. They can wait months. You won't even know about it because they do nothing. Gather IOCs. Is there any tool that can provide you with this automatically today? Is there? No. Before I show you what Cybereason tool or solution can do, I will execute a real-life attack on a couple of fake victim machines using Kali Linux that everybody can download today. I'm running this attack simulation with our entire solution on premise, running on my laptop. So this gives you an idea of how easy these kind of solutions are to deploy. And of course, to comply with regulations, strict regulations, okay, for air-gapped and other types of deployments. The attack simulation will have 3 actors, and I will switch between them. I'll try to change my voice where I can, but just follow me, okay? There's going to be an attacker. He'll use the Kali Linux box, nothing else. He'll see just the command line interface. There's going to be an analyst, someone who will work on the Cybereason UI to gain the visibility, the context of the attack, and maybe create basic instant incident response steps. Who knows? Maybe it's possible. And then the victim itself. My targeted victim is a CEO, a fake CEO of the organization. I've done some reconnaissance. I looked at Facebooks and LinkedIn's and the rest. All of that information is available online. If I have a special account on LinkedIn, I can even look at all of his connections. What that means is I can understand who might be sitting in the same network segment with him. And I will target those guys who made spelling mistakes on their pages, because most likely they're not very deep into it. And then I'll try to laterally move from his machine to my target machine. Do my damaging stuff, destroy the proof, and get out. All of that is condensed into about 15-minute script. Okay? I have prescripted most of my techniques, okay? So I don't boast the typing skills. I talk to instead. This is how it's going to happen. I will send an email, a phishing email with Excel spreadsheet. Interestingly enough, I was able to hide all the possible macros and ways for you to visually detect that this Excel has something interesting in it. It will run a DGA embedded into the Excel macro, and it will run a stager. A stager will allow me to establish CNC and then I'll have to perform certain steps. Because I'm going to be running as a simple user on the machine, I'll have to escalate privileges to do anything else. Once I'm done with my privileges, I'll be able to dump hashes and pass the hash technique to move laterally onto my final target machine. Once on my final target machine, let's assume I'll do the damage. I'm not going to show you that. And then I will be destroying all the proof of my existence, and then I'll leave. In the meantime, I'm going to be switching with the UI to show you the real timeness of detection and the level of context that Cybereason can provide. Lateral movement, we can do some things. Steal, destroy, and disappear. This is how it usually works. Alrighty. Here on my laptop, I've got two victim machines. This is Robert E. He's my executive assistant. This is my primary target. This is the first guy who will receive one of my emails. So let's assume I've sent it to 5 people. He's the one to click it. So he has, by the way, I know some of you saw the attack simulation by Cybereason before. So this time it's a new version. You didn't see it before. I'm utilizing Windows 10 and all the exploits that are still valid for any up-to-date Windows 10. So watch it. On the attacker side, so this is a victim machine, Robert. He's using internet, he's browsing, he has an email. This is Maria's machine. It's Windows 7, a bit out of date. She's waiting for her MacBook Pro. And I've got an attacker with a payload and listener session open. It's ready to explode. It's waiting for the DGA to find its way out. Whenever any of my victims clicks on the recruitment plan, of course, because it's interesting, someone sent it to him. And by the way, the third version of the attack sim will start from a mobile. So bear with us. Not today. So he looks, it's pretty basically obfuscated. There is a recruiting, he sees his name, so he thinks it's legit. I took all of the names from LinkedIn, so everything is legit. I know all of his roles, their roles, and he's going to be replaced. So the guy doesn't want to lose his job. He wants to see who the replacement is. Why? What's going on? But maybe he had, I don't know, a phishing training, and maybe he's smart enough to go and try and look at any macros that exist there. I don't know, the recruitment plan is like nothing, right? But I've hidden one thing. So you know, if you know the name, you could actually edit it. Well, I was able to. So recruitment plan. And do the home thing? No. Ooh. Okay. So I so hidden. So basically, you can hide things and okay. No, I cannot unhide this one. So this is my DGA, and I will show you the stager, another one that was hidden. This is the execution. So I'll run this DGA script first to find my way home, command and control. Then I run the payload itself, and then I'll close the process, okay? But I'll hide it. Now you know how to look at certain things in Excel. Okay, let me go back, and it's like I don't have macros in this document. What's going on? Oh, live demos. Guys, I was awake until 3 a.m. yesterday to polish this up, so polish live demos, they can fail. Bear with me. Okay, there we are. So now the bad guy is just sitting there and hoping that the connection will come in, and it did. So the IP address of the victim number 1 is 103. Just remember it. The Kali Linux box IP address is 108. So this is my command and control, 108, right there. And I have a session open, so my DGA worked. Let us connect to the session. And instead of doing it the way I did before, I have prescripted everything in certain stages. So I only separated 2 interesting things, like privilege escalation and pass the hash. Everything else is pretty obvious and can be executed in any other way. So resource stage 1. So if you see this, I'm retrieving a user to understand which machine I'm landing on, so get UID, okay? Then I'm doing basic reconnaissance, so I'm looking around whether I'm in the right segment. Then I'm looking for the processes to inject my operation into. I found Firefox. I'm injecting the code. I see the users. And this is the sysinfo to understand the patch level of the machine. So I can choose the right exploit kit in this interpreter session, which is embedded. I didn't have to add anything. It's already available in Calibox. Before I proceed, I wanted to show you the user interface of Cybereason and what we were already able to pick up so far in real time. Is it better? So here we can see one malware alert. The malware alert is fileless, which means that no signature to detect on. We can already go inside and have a look what has happened with this fileless malware. We see the full chain of execution. You see my stager, the MS build one. You see children of it as well. You see the injection itself. You see the timeline, all of it. Each and every component has all the details about the event. When it started, when it finished, the process ID and the rest. The mallops, suspicious. These are the classifications that Cybereason uses. So instead of alerting you on each and every of those, it groups them together if they're part of the same operation. It saves time and effort. Okay. Let's go back and look at the mallop inbox. Mallop inbox is a representation of a high fidelity alerts. And it is like your email client, so it places new alerts at the top. You can look at it from a discovery board, so you can see we separate different activities by cyber kill chain activity type. And by the way, as you know, no one can actually use Lockheed Martin cyber kill chain. Do you know why we can? They invested 25 million into our business. They wanted to buy us, we refused. They had their own EDR project, which they ditched for this tool. And also threat intelligence by Lockheed Martin is embedded there as well. You can see how many of them happen. So at the moment we have the bubbles of the same size because we're only executing the operation on one machine at a time. If I use the same technique twice on 2 machines in my environment, instead of getting 2 separate alerts, I will have the same alert enriched with additional context and scope. Again, saves a lot of time. No manual correlation required. All of that is performed by the tool without any configuration. I can go inside and have a look at these alerts as a list. So I know when they happened, I know the detected activity, the scope, and I know the description with the root cause, malicious process associated. I already have a lot of information what has happened. Stage or common and control. We can dive deep into each of them, but I want to leave this off for the end of the operation. By the way, Cybereason tool was set in detect-only mode. If I would set it to prevent, most of my attack parts would be blocked. But bypasses the Defender. I mean Microsoft, yeah? Microsoft Defender. I love bypassing it. It's the best. Okay, so let us go back into the attacker. Now that we know the patch level of this particular machine, we've done some research with our guys in Nocturnus research team, and we found an exploit that we can use. So this was posted on December the 12th, but the lady who actually found this exploit, called Sandbox Escaper, published it in August 2018. Still not patched. Still can be executed on any Windows 10. Available on GitHub, by the way. No black market currencies and everything. Open source. So I've prescripted it. Resource prevesc.rc. And you will use the actual exploit that I'm using. It's ALPC task scheduler. If you search for it, you will be able to find how it works. It's a very, very interesting mechanism. It depends on the task scheduler service, the folder, specific folder in Windows/tasks. If you create any job there, it will run the system by default. what if I can run a print spooler service that also runs a system and inject myself with a system privilege inside of it? Because you cannot inject unless you're a system, right? There's a system process. So this is exactly what it does. It's a double injection. This means that I should already be as a system. So I'll say just to separately get UID, and I'm system. Okay. Also, what has happened on the back end, which I didn't tell you about, I have migrated all of my operation from a legitimate process into something that is known to make remote connections. Because MS Build should not make remote connections. We used CS script last time, if you remember. And I've executed the privilege escalation. So this is the injection. I can go into Firefox malloc. By the way, this is the malloc. This is how it looks. Provides you with scope, users, machines, network connections in and out, the actual description, the root cause, something that takes hours, days, sometimes weeks to build, built in real time, the timeline. I can pivot. So imagine this is the ready-to-act package. So this is already pre-triaged alert. This is everything you need in order to start your remediation. And imagine you can pivot. So you have this object, the ready-to-act package, and you can look at it from different sides, from a network perspective, from a user, machine, processes. And this is available in the UI without any additional configuration from your side at all. So I'll just click any of those elements is a clickable element. Here we can see, launched Firefox, net.exe was a suspicion. Why? I want to know why. Why net.exe was called by Firefox? Is it a normal behavior? So the tool gives me everything that I need in order to proceed with my investigation. Again, what is the command line? Reconnaissance, netview. This is where I executed my netview command to see what machines are available to me, whether my final target machine is in the same network segment. Okay. Now, so this is my privilege escalation. Nice one. So this is the exploit I was talking to you about, Alan, earlier today. So if you go into the processes and we look at the run DLL, the command line is run DLL. I have no clue what has happened. But if we click investigate, we will see that run DLL ran as a spool service. And if we go back to our machine, for some reason there is a Control P press there. So something launched the printing process automatically. That's exactly the thing I told you about. Right? So we would just cancel it, right? We wouldn't even pay attention. Well, something wanted to print. I don't want to print, cancel, and forget. But this allowed me to gain system privilege in your environment. Now, we're ready for the stage 2. Stage 2 is persistence, hash dumps, rerouting of the traffic. Everything that I want to do in order to stay low and slow. Everything that I want to do to hide from your detection mechanisms. I'm utilizing leaving of the land techniques across the entire attack. I'm utilizing tools that are already available in your machines. I'm not introducing any new files at all. Nothing to be caught on network or by signature-based solutions. This is the hash, admin. I also created persistence, a user. And I'm auto-routing this. So now all of the attack will seem like it's coming from Robert's machine. So if I establish another command and control session with my final target, Maria Ross machine, it will look like it's Robert attacking her. So I'm cutting all of the ways back to my command and control. Now that I have the hash, I have system privileges, I can use pass the hash technique in order to move laterally onto my final target machine. Pass the hash.rc. So, let's hope it works. Okay, service timed out. No session established yet. Okay, we need to see payload right there. There we go. So we're utilizing the same technique. That's it, like completely. Can I go on for a bit? Do you mind if I go on for a bit? 10 more minutes? Thanks. Okay, now I have a session established right there. Session 3 opened. So now, by the looks of it, I have to be on Maria's machine. How do I know it's Maria's machine? I can run sysinfo command and I'll understand what's the machine. Oh, I need to background this. Anyways, it's prescripted, so let's do this. Resource stage 3, and we will see. So retrieving username. Yeah. Gathering system information. Running ransomware. Is now complete. It all failed, guys. So I did the pass the hash, so I moved laterally. I had the handler with 104, and then I had to background. Right. Usual mistake. So I don't have a session 3 open anymore. Guys, I won't be able to complete my operation. Something's failed, so apologies for that. But now let's pivot into the UI and see what else we saw, okay? So let's go back into the malloc inbox. We should see more things. Unfortunately, the only thing that didn't work was the PowerShell ransomware. We see the command and controls, 2 of them. We see the same stage or registry are used on 2 machines. So here we see the grouping of the alerts. Although it was created 11:48, the last activity that was added to the alert was a minute ago. So if I go into this malloc, I will see that now it was enriched with 2 machines, 2 users, same registry process and 2 connections. And more context on the timeline, 2 machines involved. First, what I'm going to show you is that I have internet on both machines, okay? I don't know, let's click somewhere. So I've got internet. And I can ping on Maria's machine. Okay? So I've got connection all throughout. What I'm going to do now, as an instant incident response step, I want to cut them off from the internet so that the threat doesn't spread further. I will click isolate in this alert, and you will see that the whole scope of that alert will be isolated. Even if I had 500 machines under one alert, using same TTP, I could isolate all of them at once, still keeping the connection to Cybereason UI. So I isolate them. Isolation successful. If I go back to any of those machines, and I try to do something else, so for example, who we are, unfortunately, it doesn't work. And if I repeat my ping on the other machine, it fails. I've disconnected my machines, but now I want to continue the remediation. I know there might be some things running in my environment that I want to stop. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. So as you remember, my Excel is still running. And if I go into the Excel malloc, which is a command and control by DGA, first of all, I want to show you why our tool detected it. Very simple. The Excel itself is a sign and verify part of the productivity toolset. It was launched by a user from an email client. Then it loaded something suspicious and made unresolved DNS queries. The ones that I used in my document. By the way, let me show you them. I think the macro didn't load last time. So if I go view and macros and I open the recruitment plan workbook and I say home and I edit, and this is my DGA, right? So I'm just, I have a list of different animals and I'm matching them together to create a different domain names. So now, what I want to do, I want to kill this Excel. I want to kill it remotely with machines still being isolated, and I can do that for any other process. Cybereason provides with guided remediation, which means that you cannot quarantine excel.exe. You should not be able to delete its registry keys because it's a legitimate process. So let's see what Cybereason provides us as an option for remediation. I've asked for 10 minutes. They've agreed. They haven't? No? Okay. So, yeah, I killed it. Now I see that I killed it. I can go and look at the machine itself, investigate it. I will see all the remediation actions on that machine. So I will see the response history. You'll see that I've isolated the machine at some point. Then I killed the process. All of that is visible to me. The amount of detail I can show you in the UI is tremendous. So I can keep the attack sim running, and if you would like to see more, to see, for example, the stagers I use, the ways that I've injected things into DLLs, come by our booth and I'll show you, okay? Sorry, it took a little bit longer than I anticipated.